The first time the alien princess saw me, I was holding a tray of tea. Not exactly the heroic moment I had imagined if humanity ever met another intelligent species. My name is Daniel Reyes, and I was the most forgettable employee at the United Planetary Diplomatic Station orbiting Earth. Officially, my job title was Cultural Liaison Assistant. Unofficially, I was the guy who ran errands for people important enough to speak during meetings. When the alien delegation arrived, the entire station turned into controlled chaos. For decades, humanity had searched the stars for signs of life. Now, suddenly, life had found us. The alien species called themselves the Volari. Their ships didn't arrive like our science fiction movies predicted. No explosions. No weapons. No terrifying armadas. Instead, 12 massive crescent-shaped vessels appeared in Earth's orbit as if space itself had folded open. They glowed faintly blue, like frozen lightning. The Volari were tall and elegant, their skin smooth and pale silver, with faint glowing patterns that moved across their bodies like living constellations. Their eyes were deep violet, bright enough to reflect the light of the stars. Humans looked like rough sketches beside them. But none of the Volari were more striking than their princess. Princess Lyressa. She was the daughter of the Volari High Sovereign, and according to the translators, her presence meant one thing. The Volari considered Earth important. That terrified everyone. Because when powerful civilizations start paying attention to you, history shows that it rarely ends peacefully. The station's main diplomatic hall was filled with ambassadors, scientists, generals, and politicians from every major nation. I was standing near the wall, trying to look invisible while balancing the tea tray. Then the Volari delegation entered. The entire room fell silent. Their armor looked like it had been grown rather than built, smooth plates of shimmering material that shifted color as they moved. At their center walked Princess Lyressa. Her silver hair flowed almost to her waist, and the glowing patterns along her skin pulsed faintly with each step. She looked around the hall slowly, studying the humans the way a scientist studies a new species. Her expression showed curiosity. And something else. Amusement. I kept my eyes down. The last thing a low-ranking assistant should do was stare at alien royalty. But fate has a sense of humor. As the princess walked past the serving table, one of the ambassadors suddenly called my name. Daniel. The tea.
Great.
Now, everyone was looking at me. I stepped forward nervously, holding the tray. My hands were steady, but inside I was panicking. Don't trip. Don't spill. Don't embarrass humanity. I offered the tray. Princess Lyressa looked down at it. Then she looked at me. Really looked at me. Her glowing eyes narrowed slightly. The entire hall seemed to hold its breath. She leaned closer to one of the Volari attendants and whispered something. The translator device at the center of the room picked up the words and broadcast them to everyone. That one. Her fingers slowly lifted and pointed directly at me. The room froze. Her voice was calm.
Certain.
That human will be my husband. Middle, the declaration. For 5 full seconds, no one moved. Then the room exploded into noise. What did she say? That must be a translation error. Is this a diplomatic test? I just stood there, still holding the tea tray like an idiot. The Volari guards reacted instantly. They moved forward in a protective formation around the princess. Meanwhile, Earth's security officers did the same around the diplomats. Tension filled the room like a charged storm cloud. And in the center of it all was me. The princess stepped forward. Her guards tried to stop her. She ignored them. Her glowing eyes studied my face carefully. "You are Daniel Reyes," she said. The translator rendered her voice as calm and melodic. How do you know my name?" I asked. "You were announced when you were summoned. she replied simply. Fair enough. That does not explain your statement, said Ambassador Chen, stepping forward carefully. Princess Lyressa, humans do not normally arrange marriages during first contact. Neither do we, she said. Then why? She interrupted him. Because Valari tradition recognizes destiny when it appears. The diplomats exchanged worried looks. General Ward stepped forward. With respect, Princess, humans do not believe in destiny. Lyressa tilted her head slightly. You will. The room somehow grew even more uncomfortable. Meanwhile, I was trying to figure out if I had accidentally started an interstellar war by serving tea. The ambassador cleared his throat. Perhaps the princess is joking. The Valari guards reacted instantly. Their weapons hummed softly. Princess Lyressa's expression hardened. The Valari royal line does not joke about marriage. Wonderful. Just wonderful. The ambassador turned to me. Daniel, do you know this individual? No, I said quickly. I've never seen her before in my life. The princess looked thoughtful. That is correct. Then why me? I asked. Her answer was simple. Because you are not afraid. I blinked. I'm absolutely terrified. She smiled faintly. Yet you did not drop the tray. I looked down. Somehow, I was still holding it. That apparently impressed an alien princess. Humanity had truly set a low bar. The diplomats quickly moved the conversation to a private chamber, leaving me standing in the hallway with 2 nervous security guards. 10 minutes later, the door opened. Ambassador Chen stepped out, looking pale. Daniel, come inside. Oh no. Inside the room, the princess sat calmly at the center table. The Valari delegation stood behind her. Earth's diplomats sat across from them like students facing a very difficult teacher. The ambassador gestured to the empty chair beside him. Sit. I did. Princess Lyressa studied me again. You are ordinary. That's not offensive at all, I muttered. It is not an insult, she said. It is why I chose you. The room went silent again. Chosen me for what? I asked carefully. For marriage. The ambassador buried his face in his hands. Princess, he said slowly, humans require mutual consent for marriage. That is acceptable, she replied. Everyone looked at me. I felt like a man being asked to press a button that might launch nuclear missiles. So, if I say no? I asked. Then I will accept your decision. The diplomats relaxed slightly. Then she added, but it will cause a problem. Of course it would. What kind of problem? The general asked. The princess folded her hands. Valari tradition states that when a royal identifies their destined partner, that partner must be evaluated. Evaluated? Yes. For what? For worthiness. I didn't like where this was going. And if I fail? I asked. Then the Valari High Council will conclude that humans are genetically incompatible with Valari bonding. That sounds bad. It is. How bad? The princess met my eyes calmly. They will end diplomatic contact permanently. The ambassador nearly choked. You mean the entire alliance depends on Daniel? The princess nodded. Yes. Every head turned toward me again. I had officially become the most stressed man in the solar system. The trials. Apparently, alien royalty cannot simply marry whoever they want. There had to be proof. Proof of strength. Proof of intelligence. Proof of character. Valari tradition called them the 3 trials of bonding. Trial 1, strength of will. Trial 2, strength of mind. Trial 3, strength of heart. None of those sounded easy. Trial 1 happened the next day. The Valari escorted me onto one of their ships. Inside, the walls glowed softly, like living crystal. Princess Lyressa led me to a circular chamber. In this room, she explained, you will face the resonance field. That sounds dangerous. It reveals truth. Even worse. She activated the device. The air began to vibrate. Suddenly, images flooded my mind. Every fear I had ever buried surfaced. Failure, loneliness, being insignificant. A voice whispered in my head, "You are nothing." My knees nearly buckled. But I remembered something my father used to say. Courage isn't being fearless. It's moving forward anyway. So I stayed standing. The vibration faded. The princess looked surprised. You endured. Barely. That is enough. Trial 2 tested intelligence. Valari technology is centuries beyond ours. They placed a complex energy puzzle in front of me. At first, I thought it was impossible. Then I noticed something. The patterns weren't random. They were musical. I adjusted the frequencies like notes. The puzzle unlocked. The Valari scientists stared in shock. You solved it creatively. I just followed the rhythm. Princess Lyressa smiled slightly. You see differently. Trial 3 was the hardest. They showed me a simulation. A collapsing spaceship. Inside were 2 people. One was a Valari child. The other was a human stranger. I could only save one. I hated the question instantly. What happens to the other? They die. I stared at the screen. The easy answer would be saving the Valari child. It would impress them. But something about the test felt wrong. So I shut the simulation down. I refuse. The Valari observers murmured in confusion. You must choose, said Lyressa. No, I said. I find another way. There is no other way. Then the test is broken. The room went silent. Finally, the princess asked softly, Why? Because a system that forces you to abandon someone isn't wisdom, I said. It's cruelty. Long silence. Then she turned to the observers. He is past, ending the truth. That night, the princess asked me to meet her on the ship's observation deck. Earth hung below us like a glowing blue jewel. You changed the trials, I said. She nodded. Yes. Why? Because they were never meant to judge you. I frowned. Then what were they for? She looked at the stars. They were meant to judge my people. That confused me. The Valari believe perfection is strength, she explained. But perfection creates arrogance. So you chose a random human? Not random. She looked at me. You were the only human in the room who did not stare at me like I was a goddess or a threat. I was trying not to spill tea. That is called humility. The stars reflected in her violet eyes. My people needed to see that worth is not measured by power or beauty. And marriage was the only way to prove that. For a Valari princess, yes. I leaned against the railing. So what happens now? She smiled slightly. That depends. On what? On whether you actually want to marry me. I thought about the last 2 days. The stress. The trials. The entire galaxy watching. But also the way she looked at the universe. With curiosity instead of arrogance. You know, I said, most people meet their future spouse over coffee. We met over tea. True. I took a deep breath. Okay. Okay, she asked. Okay. Her glowing patterns brightened. Does that mean yes? Yeah. The princess of an alien empire laughed softly. And somewhere above us, 12 Valari ships lit the sky like constellations celebrating. Humanity had expected invasion. Instead, we got a wedding.